You launched Americans for Intelligence Reform a couple years ago. I wanted to ask you what made you decide to launch this organization?
Well, it was a combination of factors, but certainly the what we're discussing now is one of the primary factors. I just looked at the whole thing, saw what Obama had done under the Obama regime through John Brennan as the then director of the CIA. Saw that, started looking around at everything that they had done, and for me, looking at say the FISA warrant and all those things. See, FISA, most people look at because it's being reported this way by the media, by the mainstream media, look at it this as a legal process, and it's a piece of paperwork that goes to a judge and gets a judge's signature. But primarily, it's not. Primarily, it is an intelligence document. Where does that originate? It originates from intelligence, which is the lie that the Comey and those guys appear to have played off on this judge. But the origin of all of this is an intelligence document. So I look back, see this thing, and know instantly this is all BS. I was saying a year and a half ago what's now playing out now. I accurately predicted everything of this because it was clear to me because I'm familiar with all of that. Like I said, I was an insider looking at inside stuff, where an outsider, like the reporters and lawyers and all that, they look at it and they see a different picture. So it was clear to me how all this was playing out. So I'm seeing all this stuff, looking at how the system is being destroyed, how people are getting killed, and how we're lowering our guard on a world stage when the world is getting more dangerous, not less dangerous. And so I look at this whole thing and go, this has got to get turned around. In fact, I had a lunch meeting with someone who's a very senior member of the cabinet now for President Trump prior to him ascending to those levels, but sat down and talked with him and said, look, who's fighting back on all this stuff? Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Who's fighting back? And he said, nobody. And I said, nobody? There must be somebody. And he'd go, no, there's nobody. And I said, well, okay, screw it. If nobody's doing it, I'll do it. And so that was the impetus. That lunch meeting that I had with that guy is why I went out and founded Americans for Intelligence Reform, was to just begin to fight back on these issues. And I was lucky in the sense that I retired from an operations career, an intelligence officer career at the CIA as an overt employee of the CIA, which is unusual. So that it's fortunate in that sense that I was in a position where I could do this. So that was really the impetus to it. Is we should not be dropping our guard. We should be getting better at these things. And also, I guess one final point that's so important on this is, as that pipeline was destroyed, that experience that was gained was all built on the shoulders of those people that conducted espionage during World War II for OSS. A lot of very, very brave people took extraordinary risk, and many of them lost that gamble and were killed, many. And it was very dangerous. And all of those lessons learned were passed off to the CIA, which then built on them over many decades, gaining experience and expertise, which culminated with people like myself. And we are the last. As our generation dies off, all that experience goes away because now nobody cares. It's not viewed as important or useful. So all those things that were learned through blood, sweat, and tears over the decades, beginning with OSS and essentially being finally destroyed under John Brennan, that experience all dies. And unless it gets turned around fairly soon, which I see no signs of that happening. And once that expertise is gone, it's gone. And to get it back, it'll have to be relearned. And those lessons are not lessons that you sit down and read in a book. Those are lessons that have to be learned just the way it was learned before, and that's blood, sweat, and tears. So I worry, I just fear for the future where all those lessons are going to have to be learned over again, and what will be the price that we have to pay to get back up to speed in espionage. It's a difficult world out there, and while many people view espionage as something that's beneath us in some way, which is essentially Obama and John Brennan's philosophy, the fact is, you got to be big boys and put on big boy pants and go out into the big boy world and deal with it. And that's the reality of it. And if you're going to be a little boy and can't handle it, then don't get elected to office because you create these sorts of problems for people. So it's a shame to me to see these individuals that were in the previous administration do this level and depth of damage, and of course it's taking place in a closed society of intelligence, and so it's hard to see.